So imagine if human technology advanced so far that we were capable of creating artificial intelligent beings that could not only communicate with us and function like normal human beings, but could also develop feelings and carry on with relationships. That's essentially the premise that we get with the 2002 sci-fi romance comedy anime Chobits, produced by Studio Madhouse and is directed by Morio Osaka. Now you're probably wondering, what the heck is a Chobit? Well, I'll tell you what a Chobit ain't. It ain't no morally oppressive, microaggressive toaster oven. Yeah, that was a terrible joke. But anyways, this is Hyrule here, giving you my review of Chobits. Let's get into it. Chobits presents a world in which humanoid computers are present in everyday life. These computers, referred to as persocoms, are used for a number of tasks, and aside from some obvious physical characteristics, truly do look like any other human. Enter our main character, Hideki Motsuba, a farm boy who moves into the city for prep school so that way he can get into Tokyo University. Hideki soon learns about persocoms, wishing that he could have one of his own, but knowing that he was too poor to even consider it. As luck would have it, however, Hideki comes across a trashed persocom and brings her home. Upon activating her, he learns that she only knows how to say chi.
Chi?
Is chi the only thing you can say?
Chi.
Well, I guess this was a persocom that I found out in the garbage. I wonder if it's broken or messed up or something. Hey, don't look so sad. Are you afraid that you're gonna be thrown away again? Come on, I'm the one who rescued you. I'll take good care of you.
And thus names her as such. Hideki's life changes dramatically as he begins to take care of Chi, with a number of amusing occurrences and misunderstandings with the slow-to-comprehend Chi. In the midst of it all, however, the mystery about Chi's origins and how she differs from other persocoms remains in the background, and as the answers begin to unfold, more of the issues surrounding a society of persocoms begin to surface around Hideki and those close to him. The story of Chobits is essentially divided into two halves. The first half introduces most of the cast members and primarily follows the comedic situations of everyday life with Hideki and Chi, while the second half becomes noticeably more serious and develops the characters. Chobits starts off with a very relaxed atmosphere that feels a bit like a slice of life, mostly following Hideki as he studies at prep school, works, learns more about the world of persocoms, etc. While it is entertaining to an extent, the first half is exactly as it seems and enjoyable primarily for the comedy, which might not be sufficient for some. It is the second half, then, that truly makes Chobits worth the watch. The stories behind the characters, some of whom would not initially seem so important, do a great job of adding more to their personalities, and the cast develops quite well with these arcs. The second half of Chobits was a very enjoyable and emotional watch that added substantially to the experience. But for me, there is one thing that holds this series back from being perfect, and that would be the ending, which I'm not going to spoil for you in this review, yet I will say that the ending left so many questions as they rushed through everything. Like, there is so much info dumping in the last few episodes that it's hard to figure out what the ending is supposed to mean. But nevertheless, that's really the only thing I would say that keeps Chobits from being called a masterpiece. Of course, much of what makes Chobits enjoyable is owed to its characters. Hideki, while a relatively simple and straightforward character, is likable and easy to get behind. Hideki is not quite as exciting of a character as some of the side cast members who receive their own arcs, but he is a fitting protagonist for this type of story. Chi is an adorable character that is fun to watch and also proves to be quite important to the later developments of the story. Interestingly enough, there are quite a lot of very adult insinuations. Like, for example, Chi sometimes acts erotic around Hideki without even knowing it, and this causes Hideki to constantly throw himself into fantastic fits of shame whenever he has, or believes he has, made a fool of himself.
An idiot! Because of these underpants, because of underwear in general, I'm now a total pervert!
Pervert? Hideki is a pervert! Pervert! Hideki is a pervert!
No!
Which happens quite often, and it's always hilarious. There are quite a few characters involved with Hideki early on, and while all of these characters have fairly set roles, there is a lot more to all of them than meets the eye, and they all have some sort of conflict surrounding them, much of which proves to be related to the Persicom dilemma. Speaking of which, part of what makes Chobits special is this Persicom dilemma. While the Persicoms are initially portrayed simply as convenient parts of everyday life that are simply there in the world of Chobits, they soon present deeper questions about the implications of the roles they play. What differentiates a Persicom from a human? Are Persicoms capable of the same emotions that regular humans have? Do they deserve to be treated in the same manner as any other person? And then, what of relationships with Persicoms? Chobits does a good job of incorporating the existence of Persicoms into some of its most important themes, and this is perhaps one of the strongest aspects of the series. One might think to dismiss some of these stories because of the obvious differences between Persicoms and humans, but the tales presented in Chobits are very compelling and present these Persicoms in a very interesting way. Persicoms certainly have their benefits in society, though there are a lot of complications surrounding their existence, and the tension surrounding the cast show just what some of these could be.
No matter how nice she is, no matter how cute, for your own sake, don't fall in love.
Chobits is an anime from 2002, when digital animation was getting started in the anime industry but quickly becoming mainstream. It has a similar style of art as, say, Love Hina. Yes, the art is a bit dated, but its age does add a bit of charm instead of style to this anime. The nature backgrounds that are shown in about 2 of the show's episodes are actually very nice and look as if they were painted with very neat watercolors. The animation and character design style fits somewhere between a shoujo and a seinen. One thing that tends to stand out is the lighter shades used for outlines and in place of harsh blacks in many cases, which gives it the overall softer watercolor feel. Being animated by Madhouse basically guarantees some great quality animation, and that's exactly what you get here in Chobits. There are some fantastic scenes where the animation style varies between the soft watercolor feel to a brash and vivid cartoony visual, which is mostly used in the comedic scenes.
I got rejected! I failed! I'm gonna be a bum for a year!
It isn't often that an anime has such a good mix of music, and in Chobits, each song matches each scene perfectly. The music in Chobits is great, alone and with the anime. Some songs will have you smiling, some crying, and some making your blood rush with adrenaline. And even some that will get you thinking and wondering what's going on. Half of the emotion in the show is from the music alone. Then you also have the opening track, which is catchy as all hell. It's the kind of opening that gets you in the mood to watch the show. And then you have the ending track, which is also really good, but not quite as memorable as the opening, but still is pleasant to listen to. As for the English dub, which I gotta say for a dub from the early 2000s, this one holds up quite well. Of course you have such amazing talents as Crispin Freeman, Michelle Ruff, Tony Oliver, Wendy Lee, and Sandy Fox, who give such amazing performances that it's no wonder why they are considered legendary voice actors, which makes me wish everything was dubbed by them. I'm kidding, of course. Or am I? Yes, I'm joking. But nevertheless, the dub is really good, and anything with Crispin Freeman in it, you know it's worth listening to.
Underpants.
Let's proceed straight another 100 feet. 1, 2,
Underpants.
1, 2,
Underpants.
1, 2,
Underpants.
1,
Underpants.
2.
So where does this leave us? Well, Chobits is one of those shows that everyone has heard of, and for good reason. With its story that remains relevant regardless of how the seasons change, characters that are entertaining and heartfelt in their execution, bright and vibrant animation, satisfying soundtrack, and an acting cast of legendary proportions, Chobits is a great anime to get into, especially if you haven't seen it before. Yet, if you're not a big fan of slice-of-life romances or the quirky nature of this series, then you may not enjoy it as much. But I still have to say, give it a chance, at least, if nothing else. At the time of this review, Chobits has been licensed by Funimation and is available for streaming on Funimation's website in both dub and sub. And if you're into the whole physical thing, you can purchase Chobits on Blu-ray and DVD. So don't be hesitant to add this anime to your collection, because trust me, it's worth owning. But nevertheless, this ends my review of Chobits. I'd like to know your thoughts on the series in the comments section below. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel and follow me on social media. Also, if you are feeling generous, please consider donating to my Patreon page. Even if it's just $1 a month, you'd be helping me out so much. But if not, then the best way to show your support for me is by sharing my videos wherever you can. I would truly appreciate that more than anything. Also, if you guys want to interact with me, be sure to join me in my Discord server. Links in the description. But anyways, this has been Hyrule, and I'll see you all in the next video. Stay awesome.
Yasashiku, yasashiku, そして